Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region and hear from coaches and players involved in The Game. Now, let's join Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for tonight's broadcast of The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Glorious. No, I won't give in. I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend. I will defend. Glorious. No, I won't give in. I won't give in till I'm victorious. And I will defend. I will defend. And I'll do what I must. No, I won't give in. I won't give in. Oh, so glorious. Until the end. Until the end.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to The Game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the studios of Eagle 95.1 WUPN in snowy Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan on this Tuesday night, November 20th, 2018. An abbreviated edition of The Game this week will be back at our normal location on Ashman Street at the Wicked Sister next Monday night for the full 2-hour show. Joining us here in the second half of tonight's show will be Butch Davis from Butch On Sports, who are getting us up to date on what's going on in the Detroit sports scene as well as sports from around the country. But we have to get fans and listeners up to date on what's going on locally as we had a special edition of The Game Saturday night after the Pickford Panthers 8-player Division I football final at the Upper Dome in Marquette. And again, congratulations to the Panthers, their best season in school history. 12-1 on the season, falling to Morris in the state championship game, but with only 2 seniors graduating this year, the Pickford Panthers are a pretty good bet to make it back to the Upper Dome for next year's finals, but they still have a lot of sports to play in Pickford, including boys and girls high school basketball, which will begin next week. As a matter of fact, a week from tonight, Tuesday, November 27th, we'll have our first broadcast of Brimley Bays basketball on Eagle 95.1 as the Bays boys will take on Cedarville, a very early key matchup in the EUP conference. I'll have to call that one with my son Vance Nason. Again, that will be next Tuesday, November 27th on Eagle 95.1 or online at radioeaglesioux.com. But we do have some sports of the local variety to cover from the rest of the weekend, which we did not cover on the Saturday show. Let's start with Laker men's and women's basketball. We mentioned the scores. We didn't get to the details of the games. Starting with the men, they were up in Alaska for the Seawolf Jamboree this past Friday and Saturday. Their first regular season contest, and it was no contest on Friday night as the Laker men defeated Alaska by the score of 85-63. 10 Lakers scored in the game, including 5 players with double digits. Rog Stein, we'll talk more about him later. He had 13 points, while Tim Cairdenduff, Camontre Collins had 11, along with Justin Fisher and Carson Manger. They each had 10 for the Laker men, who would move into the championship game on Saturday night in Alaska, taking on a very good Alaska Anchorage squad. And the Laker men would come away with the victory on Saturday night by the score of 67-58. Sophomore Rog Stein had 16 points for the Lakers. Tim Cairdenduff had 13, and Ashton Sherrill had 13 for the Lakers. 10 Lakers scored in the game. So the Lakers start the season 2-0, and they're on the road as we speak, as they will travel to Indianapolis to take part in the GLIAC Great Lakes Valley Conference crossover. That'll be Wednesday at 3:15. And then the Lakers will travel to Southern Indiana on Friday. The Laker men will play their first regular season home game against Saginaw Valley State on Thursday, December 6th, 7:30 p.m. at the Bud Cooper Gymnasium. The Laker women were also on the road this past week. Again, we mentioned the scores. We didn't get into the details. The Laker women would win on Thursday of last week at Ohio Valley by the score of 78-48. As the Lakers had a balanced scoring attack, 4 players in double digits, including Claire Radke. We'll talk more about her in a moment. She led the Lakers with 15 points, including 5 of 8 shooting and 3 of 6 from behind the arc, I should say. As Morgan Villimer, she scored 14 points off the bench, while Sadie DeWilt and Abby Osman, had 10 points. Stumbling over these names here. Just got done walking my puppy. It's a little cold out there here in Sault Ste. Marie. So the Laker women 2-1 at that point, and they would continue their road trip and continue their winning ways on Saturday as they were down at half but come back to defeat Alderson Brodus by the score of 77-64. So the Lakers 3-1 on the season, best start in 4 years when they also went 3-1 as Laker Claire Radke scored 16 points, Lexi Cohn with 15, and sophomore Jenna Gregory with 14. Now, the Laker women also on the road with the men, traveling as we speak. They have just one game this week, as they will take on Indianapolis on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Well, the Laker hockey team won that game on Friday night 5-0, which we already talked about, with Nick Kossoff making 30 saves in net over Bowling Green as freshman Ashton Calder scored his first goal for the Lakers. We'll talk more about him in a moment. And the Laker hockey team on Saturday, well, they didn't have as much luck as they fell to Bowling Green by the score of 5-2. So the Laker hockey team 6-3-1 on the season, in 5th place in the WCHA, very early standings, but they're only 2 points behind the first place teams. And there's 3 of them right now, undefeated in the league, Michigan Tech and Minnesota State, and Northern Michigan, who the Lakers will play this Friday and Saturday at the Taffy Able Arena. Well, the Laker hockey team did move into the USCHO.com's men's top 20 poll as they were named the 20th best team in the country for the first time in 2 years. And Ashton Calder, he was named WCHA's Co-Rookie of the Week. As that was announced on Monday, Calder, a freshman from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, made his first collegiate goal count, netting the game winner in the Lakers' 5-0 victory over Bowling Green on Friday night. And so congratulations to Sioux native Ashton Calder for league honors, and the honors continued for the Lakers on Monday in basketball. A pair of Laker players earned GLIAC awards, including Rog Stein. He was named GLIAC's Men's Basketball North Division Player of the Week. Stein, a sophomore forward from Kalamazoo, averaged 14.5 points per game on about 45% shooting, while dishing out 3 assists and grabbing 10 rebounds in each game as the Lakers won their Seawolf Showdown games. So congratulations to Mr. Stein, and congratulations to Miss Radke, Claire Radke. She was named GLIAC's Women's Basketball North Division Player of the Week. Radke, a junior guard from New Berlin, Wisconsin, averaged 15.5 points on 60% shooting, including 70% beyond the arc. She also averaged 4 rebounds and 1 steal as the Lakers won a pair of road games and off to their best start since 2014 and 2015. So congratulations to all those individuals, and congratulations to another Laker. Big week for Laker athletics as David Mitter, he qualified for the 2018 NCAA Division II Men's Cross Country Championships announced by the selection committee Monday evening. Mitter, a sophomore from Howell, Michigan, was selected as one of 27 individual qualifiers for the national championships, and he earned the selection by finishing 8th out of 217 competitors in the NCAA Division II Midwest Regional Cross Country Championships this past weekend in Hillsdale. Mitter ran a 10K personal best time of 31 minutes, 56 seconds, as he led the Lakers to a 20th place finish out of 32 teams. His personal best in the 10K was 33.42 seconds, which he ran at last year's regional shoot. He took about a minute and a half out of that. Way faster than my 10K, I might add. So congratulations to David Mitter, as the championships will be held December 1st in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at the Bob O'Connor Golf Course. And so we'll be keeping an eye out for that one and definitely give you the results here on the game. Let's get to some of the junior hockey action. Well, first of all, we have some high school action as well. The Sioux High Blue Devil hockey team in action tonight, taking on Sheboygan at the Big Bear Arena. They were in action this weekend, and they split a pair of games, beating Milford on Friday night by the score of 2-1 and losing to Lakeland by the score of 5-3. Junior hockey over the weekend. Well, we talked about the Friday night games in the NOJHL. The Sioux Eagles would play a couple more games this weekend, and they got a victory on Saturday night as Eagles netminer Shane Brancato made 29 saves as the Eagles earned a 2-1 win over Powassan. Kyle Quinn and Owen Shire had the goals for the Eagles. And then they would go to French River on Sunday. Not a good game for the Eagles. They gave up 5 goals in the first period, tried to come back, but couldn't quite make it all the way as they fell to the Rapids by the score of 8-6. George Orfanos had a pair of goals for the Eagles on Sunday. So the Eagles now 10-15, but they played a lot more road games than home games. So they're going to have a chance to maybe get that record closer to 500. And it will begin on Friday night as they will take on the Elliott Lake Wildcats, a team that they are tied with for 4th place in the West Division. Then the Eagles will travel to the Sioux Thunderbirds on Sunday. Well, speaking of the Thunderbirds, they win again. It was tough as they won on Thursday night in overtime at home against Blind River. And they would win at Blind River on Saturday night in a shootout by the score of 4-3. As Gage Stephanie and Tyler Malpass had the goals in the shootout, while Stephanie, Tyler Main, and Nolan Ford had the goals in regulation. So the Thunderbirds will host Espanola on Thursday, and the Sioux Eagles on Sunday afternoon. The Soo Greyhounds, well, they had a 4-game losing streak when we had our show on Saturday, and it wasn't easy on Sunday, but they would get the victory and snap a 4-game losing streak as Morgan Frost scored his 14th goal of the season in overtime to lift the Soo Greyhounds to a 6-5 win over the Windsor Spitfires. Barrett Hayton had a big game, 2 goals and 2 assists, while Keegan Howdeshell, Jordan Sambrook, and Cole McKay also had goals for the Hounds. Now, the Hounds will be in action this week. I'll be making the trek over to the Memorial Gardens tomorrow night as they will take on the Sudbury Wolves. Then the Greyhounds will travel to Guelph on Friday and Owen Sound on Saturday. And finally, the Sioux Indians in action this weekend. They lose a pair of games to the Thunder Bay Kings, and the Indians will be at home this weekend taking on Meyer Saturday at 3 o'clock and Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Those games at the Taffy Able Arena. So that is a look at your local sports roundup. Half of the roundup, as we mentioned, we had a special edition of the game Saturday, talking a lot about the football from the weekend. You can find that show at thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. You can find all our broadcasts on that website. Includes our sports show from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street, downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Also includes the Game Sports Show from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sioux, Ontario with Dave McKeag and his merry band of gentlemen. And that also includes the Game Sports Show from Northern Superior Brewery in Sioux, Ontario with Dave McKeag and crew. As well, it includes podcasts of Sioux Eagles hockey games from Puller Stadium that we broadcast on Hockey TV. Yours truly along with Larry Pozzabon. Also have selected Brimley Bay's basketball podcast from the season. Again, our first game, will be Tuesday night from Cedarville. The boys will start a week earlier this year than the girls. And a couple other local sports notes. My son Vance Nason and his 7th grade basketball team had their first 2 games this week, beating Sheboygan last night 46-20 and losing to Alpena just a few minutes ago. Very good Alpena team by 13 points. So the Blue Devils 7th grade team 1-1 on the season. They'll be in action again next Monday night taking on Gaylord. Well, that's going to do it here for our local edition of the game. But when we come back, we have a lot more to talk about in the world of sports. We'll be joined by Butch Davis from Butch On Sports, who will talk to you and me and us about the Lions winning a game that maybe they shouldn't win because of draft position, or maybe they should win because who knows, maybe they can make a playoff push. We'll also talk about the Detroit Red Wings at 500. The Wings quietly going about their business, winning some games, and that's good to see for head coach Jeff Blashill. The Wings started off, I believe, 1-6-2, and they've really put a good streak on the line, and they're right back in the thick of things. And the Detroit Pistons. How about the week for the Pistons? They only played 2 games, one last week winning at Toronto, a big comeback victory for head coach Dwayne Casey. in the city that disposed of him rather abruptly, we'll say, and then a big win last night against Cleveland. The Pistons starting to play some good basketball, so things are going well for the Detroit teams this week. We also have Michigan and Michigan State. Well, things going well for Michigan in college football. They have the big game against Ohio State on Saturday. Can the Michigan Wolverines get the monkey off their back and finally beat this Ohio State squad? If they can't do it this year, they may never do it, because Michigan is looking as good as anybody right now, outside of maybe Alabama. And Ohio State is not looking very good. They struggled to win at Maryland 52-51. So is this the year? Michigan gets the win, wins the Big Ten, makes it to the national playoff? We shall see. So we'll talk about all those sports. Maybe we can get some WWE in. Survivor Series last night. Butch likes to talk wrestling. I like to talk wrestling. You just don't know what we're going to talk about because we don't script it. We just talk, and we enjoy giving you a different perspective, giving you local, regional, and national sports information. We'll be back with Butch Davis coming up next on The Game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the second year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course. You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulley Museum right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company, it's a northern thing.
Saturday I took a walk to Zipperhead. I met a girl there, it's young, there's nothing dead. Punk rock girl, please look at me. What do you see? Let's travel around the world, just you and me, punk rock girl.
Welcome back to The Game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the studios of WUPN Eagle 95.1 on this special Tuesday night edition. We'll be back to our normal Monday edition at the Wicked Sister next week with Dave McKeag, Katie Woolen, yours truly, E.J. Russell, and our next guest, weekly co-host, contributor Butch Davis from Butch On Sports, which you can find on our podcast page, thegamesportshow.com, or go to his podcast page at simplybutch2, that's TOO.podomatic.com, or, you can also find him on Facebook. Butch, hope it's a lot warmer where you're at. How you doing tonight, my friend?
No, it's not a lot warmer. And I'm okay here. I'm warm here. I'm toasty.
I just got in, Butch. Mentioned in the first segment there was a high school hockey game tonight, just completed at the Big Bear Arena. The Sioux High Blue Devils defeat the Sheboygan Chiefs by the score of 8-5 to improve to 2-1 on the season. Butch, let's get right to it. Let's talk about the world of Detroit sports, and let's start with our beloved Detroit Lions as they entered Sunday's game with a 4-6 record against the Carolina Panthers, and by God, the Lions got a victory on Sunday by the score of 20-19 to improve to 5-6 on the season, keeping their playoff hopes alive. And the Lions they're going to need to win again on Thursday as they take on the Chicago Bears. The Bears over Minnesota, their first place in the division at 7-3. Butch, you were there. What did you see, and your comments on the Detroit Lions? Got time, my friend. The floor is yours.
Really, God, Lord, I'll be as gentle as I possibly can during this narration of the Detroit Lions of the game here. It really sucks. Oh, the Lions were blessed before Thanksgiving to have this game in their bucket and for a W there. It was a back and forth game. It was more or less of a lethargic game, if you want to put it. I put it that way myself, of course, because it was very slow. Teams really didn't go all out to show everything that they can do, especially Carolina. I think they took a pass on that. Their defense was pretty doggone special, so they was keeping things at full. However, the Lions, when they do certain things come upon them. That was the running game. And that all went to a flying halt in the third period when Johnson went on out for the medicinal recreation here, which will be out for at least 2 weeks or more.
Right.
Okay, with his injury there. However, again, you can call him Rollerboat Riley or River Shaw Riley or whatever.
Likes to roll the dice.
That gambling man to say, we're going to win this game right now. I'm going to put it on your back. And he made a decision, and he's going to live with that there. And he was very grateful after the game and telling the media people that, yeah, he was very proud of making that decision there. Again, it didn't work out. As a matter of fact, it should have, because, again, the pass was overthrown, or should I say, a little bit on top of the receiver there. The receiver was free as a bird there. Again, another lucky thing for the Detroit Lions. Darius Slate, they need him bad, okay, if the Lions defense is going to be any part of it. I hate to say that, but again, when Darius Slate is in there, seems like things pick up as far as momentum and also some give with the Lions defense there. There's something wrong when he's not in the lineup there. However, the Lions are going to have to do a way better job of defensive coverage in their backfield. The linebackers, we'll give them a pass this week. As a matter of fact, we'll give them a C+. The line was, it was very well. Ezekiel Ansop get in there and got a sack. First time he's played in a long time there. You hear his name. It was very much so a back-and-forth game. Now, I haven't gotten to Matthew Stafford yet, and I did that purposely here so people can weigh this on out here. Matthew played a semi-good game. He has to do some more improving for this Lions team to be something special. They have the mechanics to do it. He has to be able to read those mechanics the way they're given to him and be daring enough to take them. Again, the middle of the field was open for Matthew Stafford, where he has passed up maybe 8 yards, 15 yards, maybe beyond that, and maybe running the football and keeping the other team honest so other teammates of his on offensive prowess there can do their thing and have at it of getting some scores. Lions, again, very lucky this week. Very, very lucky. Hope I'm long-winded here. Very lucky. And, again, we'll find out when the Bears come in town on Thursday, will that luck run out.
But you can be as long-winded as you want tonight because we have a little more time than usual. A couple things I wanted to get your comments on Butch and talking about the Lions and luck. And you look at the opposing kickers and obviously the Detroit kicker is Matt Prater has done a great job as he usually does every year. But you look at some of these other kickers and the troubles that they have had. I mean, the Lions could easily be without 2 wins. You look at that Green Bay game where Mason Crosby missed 4 field goals, and you look at what happened on Sunday with Graham Gano, somebody that's pretty much been almost automatic this year. He misses a field goal, an extra point, hits an upright. The Bears kicker the previous week, I think, hit the upright 4 times. So the Lions obviously have luck on their side when it comes to kickers. This is quite extraordinary, isn't it?
It's more than extraordinary. It's a mind-blowing in itself, Makes you want to go home and buy another 6-pack here,
Indeed. The Lions usually do in general.
Oh, shoot. Just to solve their nerves there, what can you do? But anyway, when you said that, it has some huge meaning to it here. Lions get so complacent at times during the games that, can you stand and watch it here? And then all of a sudden they get a spark and get going there. And there's no consistency on the offensive plays being called. There's none at all. They're going to run. They're not going to run, I should say here. They're going to pass the ball 95% of the time. And the other teams know that too. So it's always grateful when someone's able to run the ball through the cracks there to give the Lions, opportunity maybe to take the ball somewhere down the field and get in Prater's necessary way to get those easy 3 points, as it has been throughout the season for the Lions. But again, how long can you depend on all of that there? And then you got the other teammates, kickers that you just mentioned. Boy, they're missing everything. They're hitting the post, though. If it was hitting the post, they would have a whole lot of stuffed animals at home. But it's not the case, and it's not working out for them. We're talking about visiting kickers there. Hopefully that luck still comes shining when, again, the Bears come into town for Thanksgiving Day at Ford Field. They miss a couple there, but it's not going to make a bit of difference if the Lions' offense don't get in gear. They're not going to have Johnson, so that means Blunt. Hopefully he's well. No one has said anything. Has he been injured or maimed or anything? Because we have seen less of him than more of him. So we'll know that he's going to be the primary back. Reddick, he'll be in there maybe catching 50,000 more passes, only running 1. And when he do, he gets hit in the mouth. Go back where you come from, kind of have it in the mouth too. But again, it's going to be that kind of game. And I expect not so much a offensive prowess like we saw, most of the nation saw last night, but, as far as defense is concerned, it's going to be the team that makes the less mistakes, I do believe, is going to be able to come out there victorious. Lions can win. They're still on the streak here. They're not eliminated from playoff competition there. So if they win this game, they put some heat on the teams in the division there, which they got plenty more to go with.
My advice to Lions fans, Butch, is if you're really going to get emotionally invested in this game, eat maybe early. And if you are doing that, drink rather heavily towards the end of the game. Does that sound like good advice?
Yes, and make sure that you bring a gallon of water for every fifth that you take down, Right. It's important that way that you keep those fluids going here.
And get a designated driver, please.
Please, call a cab.
Right. Let's move on to the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons didn't have a lot of games over the past 8 days, but the 2 games that they have had have been very good. Going back to last week, I had a chance to watch a lot of the game in Toronto, a big comeback there at the end. The Pistons get the buzzer beater. Dwayne Casey goes back to Toronto and gets some revenge, if you will, but it was nice to see him smiling and really enjoying that victory. And they followed up last night, Butch, at home, win over the hapless Cleveland Cavs by the score of 113-102. So the Pistons 8-6 on the season. And they have a rare home-and-home series against a West Coast team, the Houston Rockets. They'll travel to Houston on Wednesday before hosting the Rockets on Friday and then Phoenix on Sunday. Butch, tell us about the Pistons. Not a bad week for them.
Not a bad week, and this all stemmed when Blake Griffin got his rear end kicked out of the game there. And because it was definitely just too physical on him, as I kind of explained to our fans who are listening to us right now here. A thing just happened, Blake Griffin has to understand that people are going to knock the crap out of him as much as they see him. And he can't worry about it. He has to still play his game. And he's a lot more steadier right now in playing the game, know what his role is. And that is going and doggone playing the hoof man on the defensive end of the boards and maybe offensive fine. Andre Drummond has showed up. Okay, he's disappeared about 8 or 9 games now. He's finally showed back up to get his premium of at least 15, 16 rebounds a game. In the last 2, he's demonstrated that by getting a lot more rougher and tougher and going in there and taking initiative and getting his doggone balls to go in the net. He should be getting at least a premium of 20 points, and he's been doing that. Also playing at the other end. Outside shooting for the Pistons has been a little bit better. We're very much so in the cage of the 2 wins that the Pistons got. Bullock has been sensational. He was sensational last game with over 20 points. He was sensational and playing great defense in Toronto there on 2 sides of the doggone fence, and then getting that pass to overtake the Raptors in their own house and during regulation time. So the Pistons are seeing some hope. There are some teammates now that are trying to warm up in Grand Rapids and get those guys ready to be able to come down here and make some contribution, because I don't think right now the Pistons are set with 12 men that they can depend on. I think there is some negligence somewhere down the line. They're going to find it on out. They're going to go to Grand Rapids, and the others are going to come up there and make contribution. Ellison and Brown, they have not made the contributions that you think they should be making right now. They're still getting the work being done with them, transferring back and forth to, again, Grand Rapids there. So Pistons are looking somewhat competitive now, a little hungry. And the only way right now they're going to win anything in the Eastern Division is to stay hungry. They're going to have to scrap it out. Those 2 games they won were very instrumental to their season upcoming, because, again, that's where they're going to have to win games, scrapping it out.
Butch, let's move on to the Detroit Red Wings, a team that is scrapping it out and winning. Hard to believe. If you would have told me about 4 weeks ago that the Red Wings would be at 500 a couple days before Thanksgiving, I would have said you were nuts. Well, but you've been high on the Wings even throughout their struggles at the beginning of the year, and they've evened their record to 500 with a 3-2 win at New Jersey on Saturday night. Dylan Larkin with the game-winning goal. The Wings have won 5 of 6. And they'll be at home to Boston tomorrow night before going to Washington on Friday, and then home to the surprising Buffalo Sabres on Saturday. Butch, Red Wings, 500. That in itself is a big thing considering the start of the season.
Again, a team that, I looked at the beginning of the year and saying to myself, this is a setup, because they have so many young kids right now that will not make the initial team. But basically, if they do what they have to do in Grand Rapids and Mill, as well as maybe some other franchises in the OHL or in Toledo, these guys don't have to hesitate in finding pieces, okay? They do not have to go right now to the free agent market or to any other market to get players right now, because they have them in so much of a surplus of not being able to play these guys for 2 or 3 years, where other teams may have them up sooner. They have a luxury that a lot of teams don't have, and that's why I think they're going to overcome a mini super deal, because when there's some injury or something that comes up the line with these young kids playing right now, there's going to be someone from upstate, okay, in Grand Rapids who's going to come down and want to stay. And that's really what you want out of your young kids. And that's right. That's what's pushing the Red Wings right now. There's some, I would say, good, hardy veteran leadership. Can they have none right now? In my, I mean, Jimmy Howard, okay, maybe at best, okay, but they have none. You you go around and say, well, who's standing up, okay? You look at the Jowskis and you look at the Rasmussens. You look at the various kids right now who didn't have a way to take place last year, but now are a focal point. Anthony Mathis finally getting cranked up there. That means a whole heck of a lot with the Red Wings scheme of things when it comes down to this guy scoring or have made valid attempts to score there. It took him so long to get one in the net. That's what I'm talking about. But the Red Wings are going to have their say as they take one game at a time. And hopefully they don't get over and above the Call of Duty because they will mess up and they will lose 8 or 9 in a row. And that's not good for them right now. I think this team can make the playoffs. They may be the butt end of a wild card, but to get in is to get in. You got to first get in to win. And if they do that and they play the way they're playing right now, I see no reason. Jimmy Howard has to be special and his backups as well in order for that to happen. But the defense right now is a huge reason why the Red Wings are doing so well.
Butch Davis joining us on this special Tuesday night edition of The Game, going through the regional and national sports. Butch, let's continue with some Michigan sports as far as the Michigan High School football finals, which will be down your way at Ford Field this Thursday and Friday. We did a special edition of The Game Saturday night as I traveled to Marquette for the 8-player Division I final between Pickford and Morris. It was a great time. I had a chance to meet the new executive director of the MHSAA, Mark Ewell, who saw my son's Vance's sweatshirt in the elevator, which was Packers, and I explained to him we're a divided loyalty up here. He a Packers fan, I a Lions fan, and I believe Mark is a Lions fan, but he also has some family connected here to Sault Ste. Marie. His in-laws are from the Sioux, so I had a nice chat with him. It was a nice event. Butch, Pickford came up on the short end of the stick. Rapid River in Division II, an 8-player, won the state championship, so the UP does have one state title in high school football. They won't get any on Thursday or Friday, but Butch, what are some of the games and the matchups that you're following of your interest that will be happening at Ford Field this week?
Well, they'll all be pretty exciting. Getting into the big place called Ford Field is in high school language, an honor and a privilege here, but you want to make the most of it. The big game here will be the last game of Saturday night. That will be the big game. I will not doubt that if 50,000 people can rebuy a ticket, they will be there for this match between Muskegon and Detroit Martin Luther King.
Big game.
That is going to be like Houston or Texas or something of that nature. I would like to see that kind of, as well as all the games at Fort Field. And you've been to many particulars there. Sometimes it's not that way when it comes down to fan base of fans coming on in there.
Right.
Normally, the last game of the night is normally the one that you can't get nobody to stay. And in this case, I think everybody be going to stay. They might be spend the night, okay, because of that game has raised so much interest in the Motor City. It's about time that we've seen a matchup as that. But again, let's give it to those young men who deserved they won their right to get there, okay? And that wasn't easy there. That little journey is not proper when you got to win 4 games and try to win a 5th.
Butch, college football this weekend, lots of big games, including the big one in Columbus between Michigan, 10-1, taking on Ohio State, 10-1. The college football playoff rankings came out just a little earlier tonight. No changes, at least the top 4, Alabama at 1, Clemson at 2, Notre Dame at 3, all undefeated. Michigan 4, Georgia 5, Oklahoma 6, LSU 7, Washington State 8. Central Florida moved up 1, but they still have no chance, which is a shame. Ohio State at 10. So really, Butch, Michigan controls their own destiny. They beat Ohio State. They win the Big Ten championship. They will get into the top 4, and the top 3 teams all undefeated. Obviously, if they get in, or if they remain undefeated, they will get in. Michigan, Ohio State, I want your thoughts, and I've been telling this to people. I ran into a few Michigan fans at the hockey game. If Michigan can't beat Ohio State this Saturday, They may not beat them for a long, long time because all signs point to Michigan having more talent, playing better, peaking at the right time than an Ohio State team that had to take Maryland to overtime and they barely won. What's your thoughts on that and college football playoff as we're getting a few weeks away, a couple weeks away?
Well, it's one thing that you didn't mention that you have to mention when you talk about Michigan, Ohio State, is what team has the most heart. And,
right.
I'm sorry, but as much as you want to maybe plug for Michigan or a fan plug for Michigan or Michigan State, Ohio State has done that humongous amount of time, especially this year when they came back or fell behind or did something they had no business doing in order to win the game, maybe by inches or maybe a mile. But again, they are ready for the occasion. Their heart is there. If Michigan can play with the heart of Ohio State, this is an easy victory for the Wolverines. But again, Michigan sometimes get loose. They play in streaks, especially when it comes down to defense. And more than not, that has been in the team's favor this year. But again, when it comes down to offense, Patterson is going to have to play one of the best games he's ever played. He's going to probably have to run more than he wants to anticipate because they're not going to give him but that lane to throw in. And they know how dangerous he is on the flanks. So whenever he sees a moment where he can do a quarterback sneak or draw, he has to take those bad boys there. And that's going to be the big difference of the game of what defense stands the most there.
Butch, let's talk about the WWE. You and I were both tuning in as SmackDown going on right now. But I want to talk about Survivor Series. Had a chance to watch some of it. I know you watched a lot of it. There's a lot to digest from that. Team Raw had their way with Team SmackDown overall, but a couple of the big moments, I believe, was the main event, at least the heavyweight championship between Brock Lesnar and Daniel Bryan, a match that didn't have a lot of time to have hype, but boy, I thought both delivered a very good match, as well as Charlotte Flair taking on Ronda Rousey. Unfortunately, the hottest, and I mean the superstar that has the most hype right now, Becky Lynch. She was eliminated. I should say she was injured a week beforehand, and she was unable to be in that match, and she is just on fire right now as far as the fan base. But I want your thoughts, Butch, as far as what you saw from Survivor Series and the WWE. The road to WrestleMania has begun.
In the women's division right now, you can see it's a rumble there with Ronda Rousey and the other young lady here who politely got her nose taken off by Nia Jax here. That was a beautiful punch if I've ever saw one. You can see the blood squirting and everything when you saw it in slow motion. I watched it several times, and I didn't believe it, but this lady put some emphasis in that punch. So I'm thinking something's going to come down from this way down the line of piece there with Nia Jax and the Irish Spring lady here. That's what I call her. But oh boy! But it was pretty doggone good. I'm trying to find places where it was messy, but I can't. It was pretty well put together. It was some unexpected pleasures, as you know, because in the last days of Raw going on, this is when all this confusion happened with the broken nose and Daniel Bryan winning and this particular person taking that person. Then you wouldn't expect Raw to just sweep it, like they did. But they did. And then didn't want to give SmackDown the credit of that one victory they got during the pre-show, which really was 6-1 if you count them all. But again, Raw that are hurting on that. So I'm very, very flexed right now on what's going to be happening on SmackDown because there's going to be some changes made in order to hype up that brand to some electricity during WrestleMania, because right now it's that time of year for them to get really prepared for it. They got all their main wrestlers out on injury reserve and whatnot. Kevin Owens, and the young lady here, we don't know how long she'll be, at least 4 weeks at least with a broken nose. They're not going to let her wear a mask in the ring here. And so, right. This is going to be pretty wicked indeed. Daniel Bryan put on a good match, though. I would say maybe AJ Styles is having a a welcoming vacation, with
Yeah.
family, friends probably here, and was well set up to do it that way there because, he is fond of his family there. And he has been the runner for both SmackDown and Raw here for the past year here. He's done tremendously, so he can use the rest. But other than that, whether it's the Survivor Series, TLC is next or something there.
Yep.
Oh boy, that's gonna be a wicked little sister there. So, who's gonna get injured in that? Oh yeah, Braun Strowman last night on Raw. Would you ever expect those hands get those hands?
Yeah, those hands got beat down.
Sure. Beat down to a no, not one here. And
Hey, Butch, one of the things I wanted to mention about wrestling is I wasn't too sure what you could tell they were going to do the heel turn for Elias. Probably my favorite guy right now. I love guys that are good on the microphone that can also wrestle. And I wasn't too sure about how the heel turn to face with Elias, but you know what? The guy's amazing on the mic and he can perform in the ring. He's one of my favorites right now.
Yeah, right now he's the honky tonk man that we didn't have right now. and he's played that role tremendously when he's busted upside the head a couple of wrestlers with that guitar there. Only thing he lacked was tell him about his favorite hit.
That's right.
And do a little swivel there. He had it all down, but he's a heck of a performer. And what they call in the business there as a what they call a mid performer here, because he's not there to really wrestle or what little he's going to do. He's there to entertain and draw the show to a climax there, and then do some things that maybe you wouldn't think he would do. And he does a heck of a job with that there.
WWE sometimes has to scratch their head. Probably, two of their most popular performers right now, Becky Lynch and Elias, were both heels that they almost had to try to turn to face. But Becky Lynch, I think they got to keep her what she's doing because, I'll tell you what, the fans are fired up about her right now.
Oh yeah, a heel who turned into a bigger heel. And the thing about it is the way wrestling goes. Sometimes he only writes his own script. In most occasions there, because that put her back in the not in the limelight, but in the back of the rear in a lot of the matches in SmackDown, and also when she was with Raw for a short period of time because of the amount of talent that came in there really fast from the NXT situation when you had Becky and you got all those particular individuals there, Charlotte.
Sasha Banks.
It was a slew, and I would say at least 8 or 9 Nia Jax came out and thing. Asuka. It filled up very quickly. So now sometimes maybe in the script scene of wrestling, you got to take a second fiddle. But again, they brought her out to the wet one, and she's done fantastic for the fans of SmackDown there. They really enjoy her way of doing business there.
Butch, one more thing I wanted to bring up before I get to you and anything you want to bring up. That Monday night football game last night, the LA Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs. And rarely do games like that live up to the hype, as both teams were 9-1. Again, it was supposed to be played in Mexico City, but they played in Los Angeles, which was apropos for the people in that state that are just having an unbelievable time with these wildfires and it's mind-boggling to think that this can happen in the year 2018, but it's something that's happened throughout the world history, as fires are tough to contain, and our thoughts and prayers go to the families devastated by those fires, and the homes and lives lost are just it's sad, and it was fitting that the game ended up being just unbelievable. 54-51, the Rams beat the Chiefs, and boy, you look at that game, Butch, and potentially having New Orleans or the Rams against the Kansas City in a Super Bowl was a lot of fun. If you were a fan of defense, maybe not so much, but it was a lot of fun last night in Los Angeles.
I looked at that game as a stiff kind of game there. They stiff you because the only thing you could do is go back and forth to the bar. And you wouldn't lift too much. And if you did, you'd catch up with it really quick. The offense was just pumping in that game here. I never thought I would see something like that, and stick with it because I switched the TV a couple of times during the night on that particular game, and still it was a mess. Okay, and all the way through it, like I said, the reign of talent on both offenses is something to behold. There, I mean they're set, and some of the plays that were made. It's not like looking at the Lions where you see a drop pass or anything. We saw guys no bigger than 5'5" get up and snatch balls away from each other, and both teams played like they really cared. Okay, they really went out there and scrapped, and you enjoy a football game of that caliber.
Butch, before we get to our thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, is there anything else you wanted to cover or bring up on tonight's roundtable?
It's Thanksgiving. Really Thanksgiving here. Nothing much here. Basically, the weekend is set for the high schools here at Fort Field. I'll probably take in the last game or the final game of the competition for whatever reason it is, and see that game from what it's worth. And after that, take a little break and get ready for the next week here. Basically, I just hope everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Eat plenty of turkey and stuff there, and beverages. Don't drink and drive, or drug and drive, or whatever it may be. Stay home, and sleep in the backyard or something. I don't know,
Well, it's cold to do that up here, Butch. Be making a big fire.
A smoke trail that you'll never be able to find, huh?
We might have those in the state come on December 6th legally, I hear.
Oh my goodness.
Let's get to our thumbs up and thumbs down, Butch. Thumbs up to my son, Vance. The reason we didn't have a Monday game, a couple reasons. My son had his first 7th grade basketball game, a victory over Sheboygan. They were also in action earlier this evening against Alpena. Didn't come out on the winning end, but the Sioux High Blue Devils 7th grade team won and won. My son Vance looked absolutely fantastic out there. Looks all grown up, and he's going to be back on the microphone next Tuesday because we have our first high school basketball broadcast, a rematch of a Class D regional semifinal last year between the Brimley Bays and the and the Cedarville Trojans. We'll have the call of that one Tuesday night and on Eagle 95.1 or online at radioeaglesioux.com starting around 7:15. So congratulations, Vance, on the court and on the mic. He'll be back soon. And I have no thumbs down, Butch, because it's Thanksgiving, and I want to give thanks to you, sir, for your coverage of Detroit sports, helping our listeners who are looking for firsthand account of Detroit's, and of course your opinion and comment. We appreciate it, Butch. We appreciate Dave over in Sioux, Ontario, Katie Woolen, Eagle 95.1, EJ Russell in Escanaba, Michigan, and an entire team on the game because we are continuing to give you the best and the only local, regional, and national sports coverage here in the Eastern Upper Peninsula. So, Butch, I'll go to you. Your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
I will say the thumbs down for maybe next week. I probably should have a bucket full by then there.
Me too.
It happens every time. I will say thumbs up for ESPN this weekend for University of Central Florida. And finally giving that school, that community their due. And doing a game day there. Having ABC do the primary premier game that particular night to see the particular team that myself personally think is being done wrong by a nutshell. Myself personally, looking at the talent that I saw that particular night, would be able to stick the ribs toward a team like Alabama or Clemson and tell them to go straight to. No, I won't say that here, but you know what? They did very well. I tip my hat off to ESPN in the way they gave Central Florida they do. And they went up a notch here above Ohio State, number 9 in the full rankings there this week. Will it care? No. But I just had to say it.
Butch, I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving once again, and we will talk to you next Monday night from the Wicked Sister for another edition of the game, sir.
Okay, we'll be ready for it.
That's going to do it here from the studios of Eagle 95.1. Don't forget, later on this week, we'll have Dave McKagan, his shows from Sioux, Ontario. We'll have all the shows on the website, thegamesportshow.com. You can also go directly to the podcast site, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. There you can find all the game shows. You can also find Butch on Sports, my segments with Paul Van Wagner on ESPN Blacksburg, podcasts of Sioux High Blue Devil hockey, Brimley Bays basketball, and Sioux Eagles hockey. Or if you're a YouTube person, just look up the Scott Nason channel. You can find all the broadcast, which I just mentioned. Once again, we'll be back next Monday night from the Wicked Sister for another edition of the game here on Eagle 95.1. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.